I get less pushback being male, simply because I'm in a place where the power dynamics within society mean that I can say things that women can't say, and I can say things that a woman would say, but get less flack for it, even though it's me stepping outside of that typical box of manhood and those masculine expectations. I still get less in my inbox overall, and also I don't really get death threats or threats of sexual violence. And lots of the women that I know that work in this space do all the time. So I'm actually in a privileged position to be able to challenge and probe and poke the bear in a way that others can't, because I get less. And even though I might get more than someone who doesn't do anything, actually, that's a worthwhile trade-off. And I think on the other side of it, if we think about people who become in some ways an activist and actually are challenging perception systems, you're always going to get some pushback. That means that you're actually creating enough resistance or tension to actually know you're changing something, because you're getting that kind of gradual flood of people saying, well, why are you saying that? Why are you doing it that way? That doesn't make sense. You're this, you're that. But actually, that's sometimes validation that you are actually making a change. And I do think from a wider perspective, I can amplify the experiences of women that I've heard, and that's not re-traumatizing to me. Whereas if a woman had to stand up and talk about her experience of being sexually harassed, yeah, it creates an emotional connection with the audience, but also she's stood on that stage talking about something that's happened to her that's pretty traumatizing. I have more endurance to share things because I've not had a lot of those experiences that a woman would have had. So actually, it gives me, again, a level of protection to keep pushing. And if I look honestly at the work that I do a lot of amplifying the gender gaps that impact women. I'm quite raw and honest about some of the things that I've learned, sat in a room full of mothers and grandmothers when I was a stay-at-home dad, and just thought, I need to do something. Like, it can't be like this and can't just be accepted. But a lot of the work I also do is looking at what happens to men when they step in, what happens to men when they start to close the gaps, why inclusion hasn't historically marketed itself very well towards men. And we look at what the barriers are to men stepping in, what motivates them to do so, what makes them step back out again. So a lot of my work is actually understanding the kind of constructs of masculinity, how that holds men back, how traditional masculine traits are not necessarily toxic, but they can be if they're over-indexed into, or they're used in an unhealthy way, or they become limiting.